Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Good. Welcome, everybody, to Amandla Intifada, a music and poetry concert for Palestine with the Mavrix and guest speakers Dr. Haider Eid and Rifka Eid from Gaza. I think to begin, it's important, can we maybe have a moment of silence for the people in Gaza who are struggling against a genocide, but continue to resist the occupation against the Zionist regime. Okay, thank you, everybody. So I'd like to welcome you to this event. It is hosted by African Artists Against Apartheid, and it's also including a lot of organizations from South Africa who organize, not just now, but have been organizing in solidarity with Palestine since the occupation, and we will continue until Palestine is free. I'd like to introduce Michaela Burani, who will speak about the African Artists Against Apartheid. She's a law student at the University of Witwatersrand, and she's also part of the PSC, Gauteng. Let's give her a hand.
Hi everyone, I'm just here to speak a bit about African Artists Against Apartheid, or AAA. So essentially we're a network to coordinate artists in Africa to resist against injustices with a specific emphasis on the Palestinian liberation. It was started by two students, myself and Comrade Amara Bacha, who's a med student and not present here today, but I do think it's important to acknowledge her involvement in establishing the group. So the both of us flagged the lack of inclusion of creative forces in the South African Palestine solidarity struggle. And so we wanted to create a platform to coordinate artists in Johannesburg, but to our delight, it expanded and now we suit and cater to a Pan-African context. So it's a very organic space and it's developing every day, but ultimately we have three aims. So the first is to connect and network with artists so that we can mobilize better throughout Africa. It's to form a resource bank of what we can offer each other and other solidarity organizations. And thirdly, it's to platform African artists and art. We're independent, but we're open to collaboration so long as that our ideals are compatible. This means that we follow instruction from the Palestinian BDS National Committee, which is the broadest Palestinian civil society coalition that leads the global BDS movement. So essentially, we're an informal network, and we've chosen not to formalize into a rigid organization to allow for artists to take control in how they want to fight and support the struggle against apartheid Israel. Lastly, I'd like to offer a personal insight on why this network is important to me. Of course, we must acknowledge and draw on the role of artists who have historically, in a global context, played a part in dismantling apartheid South Africa and other colonial regimes. But also, we cannot talk about AAA without taking a moment to reflect and mourn on all the Palestinian lives that have been brutalized, impacted, and lost at the hands of the brutal Israeli regime. Renowned Palestinian writer, poet, and literary scholar Dr. Rifat Alarir was killed with his family members by an Israeli airstrike earlier this week. The last poem he wrote was, "If I die, let it be a tale." He says, "If I must die, you must live to tell my story." The legacy of Dr. Rifa and the resilience demonstrated by Palestinians every day For the last 7 decades, despite constant brutality and assault from the oppressor, places a moral obligation on all of us, but specifically us artists. We as artists have the ability to actualize oppressed people's dreams and hopes for a reimagined free future through our art. We must always remember that we are only able to gather here today as free people. We are able to openly stand as one united community despite race and gender, because someone somewhere else once made the choice to resist.
Thank you so much. I think I would like to introduce my colleague. She forgot to introduce herself. Comrade S. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So my name is Yaratwa van Drill, and I work at Kanya College, an organization that has been organizing working class people against oppression in apartheid and also for solidarity for Palestine, as long as we've been around. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nosipo. I'm also from Kanya College. I am here to introduce Dr. Sandra Fernandez. She's from the Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa, which is one of the important movements that have been established in solidarity with the people of Palestine. She's a neural psychiatrist and a clinical head at Sarai Hospital and a division head at Wits University. Please give her a round of applause.
Salam alaikum, shalom, and good afternoon to all of you. Every man is a social and political animal. Aristotle, the father of politics, tells us. It may not be immediately apparent to you why medicine and politics hold and intersect together and have profound implications for humanity. Physicians are in the front line of healthcare, bearing witness to the hardships and the many challenges in everyday life that their patients face. Physicians are the trusted experts in healthcare, and as such are in a unique position to influence and direct policy in the healthcare system. It is by engaging in politics that we can advocate for our patients in areas such as healthcare infrastructure, accessing treatment options, and advocating for equitable distribution of resources, and ensuring that human rights abuses are exposed and stopped. As doctors, we can ensure that we safeguard the principles of autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. Physicians have a social contract with society, with an understanding that policies that prioritize patient care are advocated for. This is what our colleagues in Gaza have been doing under tremendous trauma and distress. I am here to remind you that as of this morning, 290 healthcare workers have been killed in Gaza. We cannot remain silent as we see daily the horrors that the people of Palestine are going through. Hospitals are bombed. Pregnant women undergo cesarean sections with minimal anesthesia. A public health crisis emerges as children develop diarrhea due to the lack of available drinking water. Our ethical obligation is to speak out as much as possible. It is our collective responsibility, irrespective of our religious affiliations, philosophical views, or political allegiances. We need to take an ethical stand against those that have little regard for the most vulnerable in our society, the sick, the infirm, those with disabilities, the environment, and the animals. All those that cannot speak for themselves, that have no voice. As healthcare workers for Palestine, we demand that an immediate ceasefire is sustained and becomes permanent in Gaza, that there be an immediate and sustained unrestricted access to humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, that there is an immediate cessation of the siege and targeting of hospitals, clinics, schools, and public areas, that there is an immediate release of the healthcare workers that have been arrested, that there be free movement of all healthcare workers to all areas that require the provision of medical care and treatment for the Palestinian people, that there be the release of all hostages and the immediate cessation of the ongoing arrests and harassment of the Palestinians in the occupied territories, especially the children, where access to medical care is often denied. And that there be an urgent rebuilding of all medical facilities following the destruction of most hospitals and clinics by repeated bombings. As a representative of the healthcare workers for Palestine in Gauteng, I'm here to remind you all of the mental health crisis that is unfolding, the intergenerational trauma that all children in Gaza will become victims of. I am here to remind you of the horrors in Gaza, to make you uncomfortable so that you will rise and be a voice too amongst the voiceless. And also, just in the spirit of today's event and what is due to come, and due to the poetic expression, I'd like to just read the short poem that's titled Mother. Bum, bum, tra-ta-ta. Cold, hunger, death in my eye. Smouldering ash, metal, blood. Waning warmth, my heart of hearts. Breath going now. Bum, tra-ta-ta. Fear of life ahead. Alone, cries, frightened eyes. Look to me, breath, breathing now. Tra-ta-ta, Gaza. Lost little hands reach out. I am mother now. Tra-ta. Amandla. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine. Thank you very much, Dr. Fernandez, for sharing the experiences of the conditions of the healthcare system in Palestine, but also for joining the voices of the many healthcare workers around the world who have stood up for the Palestinians, and also of the healthcare workers in Gaza who chose to remain in Gaza and not leave for their patients. I think, also just to tie into what Comrade Michaela spoke about in terms of how we use art and cultural forms to resist the oppressions that we face in the world. And I think especially how Palestine has really, and Palestinians all around the world, in Palestine and the diaspora, have mobilized and used that to put forward the slogan of existence is resistance. I'd like to introduce our youngest speaker on today's program, Salma Eid, who will be sharing with us a poem that she wrote. She spent all day writing it and is very excited. Not yet. Okay, no, sorry. No problem. So we move to another young poet. Oh, are you ready? Come through.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome for our party.
It's okay, baby. I'm here with you.
I love Palestine. Palestine is the best. You will have so much fun. Bye bye, okay.
Thank you very much, Salma. Let's continue with the youthful poetry. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker, who is Miguel Chigane. He is an intersectional social justice organizer and multidisciplinary creative who's based in Johannesburg. And a lot of his work is around the collective struggle of landless people from Palestine to South Africa to Kashmir. Thank you very much.
Revolutionary greetings, comrades. After a long hiatus from writing, I've come with a piece that seeks to exclaim the collective realities of landlessness of the colonized people around the world. It's a recollection of the struggle that my mother faced and how it's still connected to what is happening today for a lot of us around the world. Lest we not forget how far we have come as South Africans to pursue our liberation and how long the road is to pursue the liberation of the Palestinian people. Amandla. My mother was born in a Bantustan in the northwestern periphery of what was a white man's South Africa. By virtue of her status as a native or a Bantu, she was subjugated to a life of servitude to settler colonial occupiers. She spent her formative years in Soweto, a township for natives who built and served the white man's Johannesburg, therefore existing as a refugee in the middle of an apartheid state. A system that defied all odds and showed that love is a popular movement and led us to our liberation today. 20-something years later, my mother's stories of her youth are a stark reminder that today, through our eyes, through our skin, through our backs, the memory of colonial subjugation is yet to fade away. Instead, it has become an eerie reminder. Talks of dispossession exist only for the landless, where the memories of the land that our ancestors once lived on fades with time and forceful erasure by surveyors of ethnic cleansing, where the memories of the people we lost to the void of state-sanctioned terrorism remained within our hearts and our souls, in our eyes, in our backs, in our skin. What we once were replays. They say love is a popular movement, yet what my forebears experienced I am witnessing once again today. I am witnessing apartheid at the hands of settler colonial occupiers. What my forebears thought was freedom was a fleeting moment in time that we will never be able to replicate. Today, in our eyes, in our skin, in our backs, the fear of survival that existed in my mother's forebearers' hearts in Boputatswana are felt by their children 7 generations later. Today, we are landless, we are in mourning, and we pray that one day, on the day of judgment, our prayers will be answered. Until then, may the struggle not only continue, but thrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful poem. I think it really ties our story for the struggle for land, our colonialism and apartheid that we experience in South Africa with what is happening in Palestine. And I think that is why we as South Africans have the obligation to support the Palestinians and to say not in our name. I think next I would like to introduce Ellen Kolsky-Horowitz. He's a social political activist, a poet and a writer, and he's also part of the Botsotso Art Collective, which has been very active with the South African Jews for Free Palestine. Please give it up for him.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a member of the South African Jews for a Free Palestine. And my colleague Rina said to me, why haven't I worn the T-shirt? And I thought to myself, well, I'm here today, quote unquote, as a poet. And what does that mean? Do poets only reflect particular identities? Or are we really trying to get to the roots of human behavior and experience that cross time, so that our perspective is not only immediate, but we're looking back into history and then projecting perhaps into the future? Because the crisis we face today in Gaza, in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in Kashmir, in Africa, whether it's the Congo or the Sudan, are these not common roots to the struggles over land and resources and identity, and struggles that don't seem to reach resolution? And over the last 6 weeks, I found myself silent. I usually am, quote, stimulated by trauma. And yet the trauma of the last 6 weeks has silenced me, because we've seen a re-eruption of what I can only term evil. What is happening in Gaza is evil. It's not a question of historical comparison. Some people say, well, the Holocaust of Europe of Jews was of a greater magnitude. Rwanda is of a greater magnitude, as if there is some scale to evil. I think that is the first issue that needs to be dispelled. There is no progression of evil. Evil manifests in different situations at different times, but the effect is the same. And that effect is to dehumanize us all. And because I failed to write anything really meaningful about Gaza, I went back to something I wrote 2 decades ago. And it's about collateral damage, that lovely term used by the evil ones who perpetuate these wars. Portraits of a man in Baghdad. The father holds his dead son in his arms. The camera clicks, and his grief is able to cover the whole world and history. The father is holding his dead son because an American armed personnel carrier moments earlier was blown up by a suicide bomber. The father is holding his murdered son because the Americans who invaded Iraq to free the people of their vicious dictator throw chocolates for children from armed personnel carriers. The father has been photographed holding his murdered son because the Americans destroyed more than they liberated. And again, rivals challenge for power. The father holds his dead son, and I imagine holding my son, bloody and breathless, my precious son, all bloody and breathless, and I cry with the father in Baghdad, whose son chased chocolates thrown from armed personnel carriers, bags of sweets for 20 other children, whose fathers now carry spattered with iron fragments and the flesh of the suicide bomber. The father's tears fall onto his son, fall onto me, holding my son in my arms, the father's tears fall, and I kiss my son and then send him out to run and play, while I look at the man in Baghdad and wonder about the funeral. I watch my son play in the garden and wonder how the father in Baghdad is managing to go about his life. Then I call to my son. I hold him and kiss him again and again. I want to protect him from the sweets of human madness. And this poem was also written some time ago and sadly is still pertinent. Questions for World Insanity Day. Why are there still hungry, homeless children in the streets? Why are there old people still shivering because they don't have electricity? Why have we messed up the ozone? Why aren't the government people honest? Why do we need so many drugs? Why do we need to step on ants? Why do some people have so much money? Why do some people need so much money? Why do some people love dogs and cats more than they love other people? Why is there such a thing as beauty? Why do we die? All together, children. Say thank you for beauty. Say thank you for love. Thank God for thinking of us. Love God. Like yourself. Do good. Do what you can.
Thank you, Comrade Ellen. Next, I would like to introduce Sunny Morgan. He's just an activist, and he's also going to be performing his poem. You have 5 minutes. Thanks.
So in 5 minutes, I'm going to read 2 poems, but I'm just going to say that I write because I can't fight. I write because I can't go and save someone. I write because I'm so broken by the grief. Every day, all of us must be going through it. We count how many people have been murdered. So today I dedicate my recitation to the martyrs in Gaza, for the one who died 1 minute ago, who was killed, who was bombed, and all those who have died, not just since the 7th of October, but since the start of the occupation. Have you seen the land? It's so fertile. The olives grow plump, as if to seduce the grower. It is truly love of the land. Have you seen the old ladies in their traditional dress, keys on chains around their neck, sweet cakes at the ready to tempt and reward naughty kids? Have you seen the old men sipping tea and telling stories of the Nakba, that great catastrophe when settlers burned villages to the ground and stole their land and their legacies? Have you seen the young men and women, fed on promises of return, now fed up at the waiting, eager to fight and to rebel, to taunt the oppressor? Have you seen it now? The homes, the schools, the hospitals, they lie in heaps of rubble and twisted metal. Smart bombs and laser-guided missiles kill all and sundry, laying waste in its wake. Have you heard the generals ask, why won't they leave? Why won't they just die? We tried bombs and bribes, even killed their babies. But still, there they are, the remnants of all they own. Have you seen the Zionists on the hills celebrating the carnage, stone where the heart should be, rabid hatred dripping like pus, unable to see what is obvious? The end of the project is at hand. Killing won't make them leave. They are the land, the owners, the very essence of everything from the river to the sea. Day 54 of the genocide. How many have been killed? Tomorrow's future blown to bits. Generational homes up in dust, trying to make sense, but nothing fits. Only reason is that they're feeding the lust. From the north to the south, no safe zone. Only lies spewed from the mouth. Bombs rain like confetti. Those who don't die, starve. Those who walked miles, famished. Water more precious than gold. Lies, lies, lies. The only democracy in the Middle East now lies in tatters. It's not Hamas killing Israelis. It's hatred killing Israelis. It's bloodlust killing Palestinians. It's Israelis killing Jews. It's the Zionists killing Israel. Israel, the dream imposed on unwilling villagers, cleansed of villagers and farmers to make way for the Ashkenazi arriving by boat, expelled from Europe, born of violence and rape, the birth of a violent affair, the progeny of violent monsters with an appetite for land, feeding off olive groves and farms and water wadi, lies, lies, lies of tunnels and bunkers and command and control, of rape, of murder, of manipulated scenes and actors on cue. They tell the lies that the American taxpayers fund. But still, the Palestinian will remains. To return, to rebuild, to never give up. Lord, make me a Palestinian. I want to love so deeply, to fight so fiercely, to live so and believe so passionately, to dance so freely, to die so honorably. Hasten the day of reckoning, when scores will be settled, debts repaid, and judgments read, when deeds will proclaim what we held true to be all the time. The land is Palestine. The land is Palestine. The land is Palestine.
Thank you, Comrade Sunny. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Yes. Thank you to Comrade Sunny and to Comrade Ellen for sharing their poetry of resistance, but also, I think, linking it with the global struggles against imperialism. And also showing how, behind the ugly face of imperialism is the monster of fascism. And that is what we are looking at today, and that is what we are fighting and struggling for. I'd like to introduce our main speakers for the event. I first met Dr. Haider Eid. I knew him as Uncle Haidar. When I first met him, he told me he was from the place that Jesus was born as a child, and that just excited me. So Dr. Haider Eid is an associate professor of post-colonial and postmodern literature at Gaza's Al-Aqsa University, and he is a longtime BDS activist, one state activist. And also coming up, and I think this is actually for Comrade Rifka Eid, who is a student of journalism, a feminist activist, a writer, but today will be speaking to us as a mother who survived the current genocide happening in Gaza. And she will be sharing her experiences called Tales of a Mother from the Gaza genocide. Please let's give them a warm, warm round of applause. So Comrade Rifka will be sharing her words, and Comrade Haidar will be translating.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank African artists against apartheid, and I want to thank you. You are coming. I'm so sorry because I like writing, but I couldn't write any word until today. But I wrote a piece in Arabic, and Haidar will help me translating. So I'm sorry that I will talk in Arabic because I can express myself well.
I don't need to translate that.
No.
All right.
No. Okay. This is. راح أقرأ فقرة.
Okay, go ahead.
لا أعرف من أين يمكن أن أبدأ الحديث عن تجربتي القاسية لمدة شهرين تحت القصف الهمجي وتجربة النزوح من بيت إلى آخر.
I don't know where to start telling you about my sad, cruel story right from the beginning of the massacre, including being displaced until I arrived in South Africa.
هل أبدأ من يوم السبت 7 أكتوبر حيث كانت خطتنا هي إيصال ابنتي الكبرى حيفا لدرس الموسيقى واصطحاب الصغرى سلمى لحضور فيلم ثقافي ثم العودة إلى البيت وتناول وجبة عائلية دافئة قبل الخلود إلى النوم.
Should I start from the 7th of October, where we had plans to take Haifa, our 7-year-old daughter, to the music school, or to take Salma to a concert prepared by her own school as well, and then come back home and have a nice meal for lunch?
ثم تنسف إسرائيل كل شيء، تحرق خططنا الصغيرة وأحلامنا الكبيرة، وتدمر بيوتنا ومصادر رزقنا، وقبل أن تبدأ رحلة الهروب بالطفلتين من منطقة إلى أخرى في محاولة لتأمين حياتهما.
Okay. But Israel had different plans. We didn't know that Israel had plans to destroy our lives, to destroy our buildings, and leave us in a limbo.
قبل أن تبدأ رحلة الهروب بالطفلتين من منطقة إلى أخرى في محاولة لتأمين حياتهما.
Before starting to escape from where we lived in order to save the lives of our 2 daughters.
أم أبدأ من النهاية أثناء سهري كل ليلة أنتظر أسماءنا في قائمة المسافرين الذين تجليهم سفراتهم.
Or should I begin from the end of our trip when we started waiting for the lists offered by the foreign embassies to allow us to leave Gaza and save the lives of our 2 daughters?
قبل أن أصاب بخيبة الأمل كل ليلة وأكتشف أن جنوب أفريقيا ليست من بين الدول.
Before I started getting disappointment every night for 2 nights, and before discovering that South African citizens were at the bottom of the list.
ثم أعود لمحاولة النوم تحت هذا الصوت المرعب لطائرات الاستطلاع والطيران الحربي والقصف العشوائي هنا وهناك.
Then going back and trying to sleep under the shelling and the airstrikes of the Israeli occupation forces.
متحسسة وجوه طفلتي لأني أخشى ألا أراهما مجدداً.
Every single night I would touch the faces.
Okay. طفلتاي اللواتي عاشتا ويلات الحرب في هذا العمر الذي ينبغي ألا تعرفا فيه أي شيء عن العالم سوى اللعب والمرح.
Before touching the faces of my daughters who didn't know anything about this world except playing.
وأحتضنهما بكلتا يدي حتى إذا ما وصلنا الموت نموت موتة جماعية.
We would hug them, hold them, so that if we die together.
أصبحنا نعيش أخيراً في منزل بصحبة 7 عائلات أخرى.
We've ended up living in a house with 7 other families.
في ظل انعدام الماء النظيف والطعام والدواء والكهرباء وننام جائعين في معظم الليالي.
With no drinkable water, with no clean water, with no electricity, and almost every night we would sleep hungry.
تشتهي إحدى طفلتي يوماً تفاحة، ولا أستطيع أن أحضر لها لا تفاح ولا أي نوع من الفاكهة ولا أي نوع من الشوكولاتة ولا حتى بيض أو حليب.
My daughter would crave for an apple, but I wouldn't be able to find an apple on the market. She asked for chocolate. There's no chocolate, and there's no milk.
وأسأل نفسي كل ليلة كيف يوافق العالم على أن ينام طفلاً بريئاً جائعاً؟ ولماذا من حق أي إنسان أن يستخدم التجويع كسلاح؟
And I would ask myself every single night, why does the world allow this to happen? Why does it allow a child to sleep hungry? And why does it allow starvation to be used as a weapon of destruction?
لقد نمت جائعة أياماً كثيرة. كنت أحياناً أخبئ قطعة من الخبز الذي أتناوله خلال وجبتي الفطور والغذاء وأحتفظ به للطفلتين في المساء.
Most of the nights we slept hungry, but I would save a piece of bread that I have every lunch in order to feed my kids.
ثم نستيقظ صباحاً أنا وكافة نساء البيت نبتدع طرقاً للطبخ في ظل انعدام الغاز والكهرباء.
Then I would wake up in the morning with the rest of the families trying to find the best way of cooking in the absence of cooking gas and electricity.
ونغسل الملابس بأيدينا بمياه المطر.
Then we would wash our clothes using the rainwater.
حتى تبقى هذه العائلات ال7 صامدة رغم الإبادة الوحشية.
So that we could show Israel that we are resilient.
نساعد النازحين الجدد القادمين إلى المنطقة.
We tried to help the new displaced people coming from the north.
نسمع قصصهم المبكية عن ما خسروه وعانوه في الطريق من اعتقال أو قتل لأبنائهم أو سرقة ممتلكاتهم.
Listening to their stories of how their sons and daughters were killed on their way from the north to the south.
وكم عز علي عندما سألت إحدى نساء البيت رجلاً من إحدى العائلات القادمة إذا ما كانوا يحتاجون شيئاً، ثم أجاب نعم، نحن جوعى، نريد أن نأكل أي شيء.
And I felt terrible when I heard the lady of the house where we are staying asking an old man coming from the north if he needed anything, and very sadly he said, we just need a piece of bread.
نعم، خسرنا منزلنا وسيارتنا وأصبحت شقتنا غير صالحة للسكن.
Yes, we lost our house, home. We lost our car, and we lost the whole neighborhood.
خرجنا من الشقة لا نحمل إلا أوراقنا الثبوتية.
We left our home carrying only our ID cards.
تركت شقتي مدمرة، بابها مفتوح وأشيائي العزيزة كلها هناك.
Yes, I left my home with the door open, but with all our memories back in the house.
ونمنا في إحدى الليالي في بيت جيران لم يسبق لنا المعرفة.
And we spent the first night sleeping in the house of our neighbors whom we had never met before.
قرابة 30 شخص متكدسين في ممر صغير في الطابق الأرضي ومعنا امرأة من ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة.
We were about 30 people in the passageway of the house with a disabled woman.
نسمع صوت القصف الذي يسمى حزام ناري.
Hearing the loud explosions of what the Israelis called belts of fire.
ويعني ذلك أنه قصف متواصل لا يهدأ يحاصر المنطقة ويحرقها ثم يحولها إلى رماد.
Which means belt of fire means constant shelling and bombing for not less than 12 hours, burning everything and destroying everything.
كان الصغار يصرخون والكبار إما يبكون أو يرتعدون خوفاً لأننا كنا حرفياً تحت النار.
Children were crying. The elders were also crying, but also trying to help the children because all of us were under fire.
يتساقط زجاج المنزل وتهتز جدرانه.
The windows broke and almost all walls of the house where we were staying were about to be destroyed.
ويقتحم النوافذ دخان أسود أجبرنا على قص ملابسنا وبلها بالماء ثم وضعها على أنوفنا.
And then black smoke came from the broken windows and we were forced to take off our shirts, put it in water in order to cover our noses and mouth.
وقد جازف زوجي وتركنا في بيت الجيران وذهب محاولا أن يجلب السيارة من كراج العمارة لكي نذهب لأحد الأقارب إذا ما استطعنا.
My husband took a risk and tried to leave in order to take the car out of the garage.
لكن انفجارا ضخما هز المنطقة أثناء خروجه. لكن انفجارا ضخما هز المنطقة أثناء خروجه.
But a loud explosion, we heard a loud explosion the moment he left the house.
فصرت أصرخ أنا وطفلتي الكبرى التي صارت تردد قصفوا بابا قصفوا بابا وكانت تعرفت على كلمة قصفوا قريبا فيما اكتفت الصغرى بالصمت والتحديق.
And then my little kid started.
Me and my little kids was screaming and she said they bombed my dad. They bombed my dad. And she just learned the word bombed lately. But Salma, the youngest, keep silent. عندما عاد زوجي ناجيا لم تنجو قلوب الصغيرات من أول صدمة نفسية كبرى رسخت بداخلها.
Yes, my husband came back. He was safe, but the hearts of my kids were not safe.
قضينا نصف يوم وليلة كاملة على هذه الحالة إلى أن تمكنا في اليوم التالي من الوصول لبيت شقيق زوجي بصعوبة ومن دون أن نأخذ سيارتنا التي علقت تحت الركام.
We spent 1.5 days like this until we managed to get out, and then we couldn't take the car and we headed for another house, the house of my brother-in-law in the north.
عندما وصلنا عانت ابنتي من صعوبة في التنفس ولم نتمكن من الوصول إلى المستشفى الممتلئ بأشلاء الأطفال وأمهاتهم.
When we reached the other house, my little daughter had breathing difficulties and we couldn't take her to the hospital where there were parts of the bodies of other killed children.
وقد سهرت أراقب تنفسها طوال الليل.
And we spent the whole night watching on her breathing.
لا أعرف كيف عدت هذه الحادثة فقد توالت بعدها المواقف الصعبة.
I don't know how this incident finished because after that every single incident that followed made us forget about it.
فقد استيقظنا يوما في آخر بيت نزحنا إليه في الجنوب على صوت قصف عنيف.
One night where we stayed in the south in Rafah, we woke up at the loud bang of an explosion.
واستمرت طفلتي التي استيقظت مفزوعة بالصراخ الهستيري ونحن نحاول الوصول إليها في العتمة وهي لا زالت تصرخ ولا تسمعنا.
Our kid woke up and she was crying hysterically, and we couldn't reach her because it was pitch dark.
وقد عجزت مرة أمام خبر أن صديقة ابنتي المفضلة خرجت ناجية من تحت الأنقاض، لكنها فقدت القدرة على الكلام.
And I couldn't tell my other daughter that her best friend, who's 5 years old, managed to get out from under the rubble, but she lost the ability to talk.
بقي أن أقول أن بيت عائلتي أيضا تم قصفه بالكامل، البيت الذي قضى أمي وأبي حياتهما يبنونه.
I would like to add that the house of my own family in the Nusayrat refugee camp was also destroyed with my parents' memories.
البيت الذي كبرت فيه في مخيم النصيرات للاجئين انهار بجدرانه وذكرياته.
The house where I grew up in the Nusayrat refugee camp was destroyed, all the walls and the memories.
ويعيش أهلي الآن في بيوت الآخرين بلا مأوى.
My family lives now in other houses with other people with no shelter to go to.
وقد خرجت من غزة دون أن أودعهم بسبب تقطيع الطرق.
Okay. And I left Gaza without saying goodbye to my family.
أنا هنا، لكن قلبي مع عائلتي ومع عائلة زوجي، حيث يعاني شقيق زوجي الأكبر من نوبات قلبية تكررت كثيرا خلال الحرب.
And I left my family and I left my husband's family. My brother-in-law suffers from heart attacks every now and then.
ولا فرصة لعلاجه في ظل تكدس الجرحى على أرضيات المشافي.
We couldn't take him to the hospital because all hospitals are full and the other hospitals in Gaza have been destroyed.
بعضهم يترك بلا علاج حتى الموت، وبعضهم الآخر تجرى له عمليات بتر بدون تخدير. آخر فقرة بس.
Some of those patients at the hospitals where we tried to take my brother-in-law are sleeping on the ground. Some are sitting there with amputated legs and arms.
أنا هنا لكن قلبي هناك مع الأطفال.
I am here but my heart is there with the children.
والنساء التي تقاتل بالحب والرعاية.
And women who fight with love and care.
وتتحمل الأعمال الشاقة.
And who are patient.
وتلد حتى في ظروف صعبة للغاية.
And give birth under the most difficult circumstances.
لأننا ببساطة عائلات محبة ومتعلمة ونظيفة، ونستحق أن نعيش حياة كريمة.
Because we are good families, we are educated families, and we deserve to live a happy life like the rest of humanity.
نحن نستحق ألا يجعلنا العالم نندم على إنجابنا أطفال تقتلهم إسرائيل أو تيتمهم، من أجل أن يحيا أطفال النساء الصهاينة بأمان، حتى لو على جثث أطفالنا ومعاناتهم. Thank you.
We deserve to live in peace and to have children who should live like the children of Israel, with peace, love, without paying any heavy price with their lives. Thank you. Am I supposed to? How can I? Okay, thank you. I wasn't expecting that, in fact. I'm more into rationality, political analysis, etc. So this was a bit hard and harsh for me. My name is Haider Eid, and I'm a member of the Palestinian campaign for the academic and cultural boycott of Israel. I'm also a founding member of the One State campaign. Jeremy asked me to talk a little bit about Gaza. And indeed, I have been talking about Gaza, I think, since I was born. I've been talking about Palestine since I was born. And I'm supposed to be dead. That I know. I mean, that's a fact. I'm supposed to be dead, and I'm not sure whether I myself I'm talking to you or it is my ghost. Because I had a conversation with my ghost back in Gaza, and I will talk about this in a second. But people want to know about Gaza. I was looking at the figures, you know, that we are not numbers, and I don't like to talk about numbers. 17,170 people have been killed so far. In the last 24 hours, we have lost more than 270, and I'm sure it's more than 300 or 400 now, including 40 of my, cousins. 40. I've lost about 15 of my students. I've lost about 7 of my closest friends. But life goes on. What is happening right now in Gaza is literally genocide enabled by the colonial West. The only country that can put an end to this genocide is the United States of America. And today, at the Security Council, the United States of America, for the second time, vetoes a resolution calling for a ceasefire. Not calling for the end of occupation. Not calling for the end of apartheid, settler colonialism, etc., or the right of return. No, calling for ceasefire. 90 to 95% of those who got killed, and when I say those who got killed, I'm talking about, according to official figures, by the way, 17,700 people. There are more than 7,000 people still under the rubble. The most hated word in Gaza that she hates, I hate as well, is anqad. Anqad in Arabic means rubble. You have more than 7,000 people still under the rubble. So we have more than 24,000 people who are dead. 90%, more than 90% of whom are civilians. 7,700 of them are children. 6,000 of them are women. So literally, we are talking about genocide. The very definition of genocide. 2.5 to 3% of the Gaza population have been annihilated. Like any other kind of settler colonialism, annihilate the brute, the barbarians, the savages, etc., etc. And Israel is doing that right now with the total support, not even support, the involvement, direct involvement of the colonial West. What is the solution? I don't know, actually. Actually, I don't know. What was the solution? Well, Second World War. The Holocaust, my friend mentioned the Holocaust. What was the solution? Apartheid, what was the solution? Total and complete isolation. I'm coming here with a message from Palestinian civil society in Gaza. We need an immediate ceasefire, and then we can discuss. People are literally dying right now. I'm so worried about my family. Myself and my family were displaced 4 times. 4 times. We didn't know where to go. We didn't know where to go. Honestly, the first time, like as Rifka said, I get a phone call from a Shabak agent. Said, okay, is this Dr. Haider Eid? I said, yes. He said, we want you to leave the area. I said, where should I go? He said, you should head north. Go to the north. That moment, they were shelling the north. So he wanted me to go with my family to the north while they were killing people. So we spent the night with our neighbor. We lost our flat. And then we went to the north the following day, Sheikh Radwan. 5 days after that, we get another phone call asking all of us residents of Gaza City, residents of Beit Hanun, Beit Lahia, Jabalia, I'm talking about more than 1.2 million people, to leave the north and go to the south. Now, at the time, 48% of the people who got killed were from the south. So where should we go? I myself believe that it's a combination of genocide and ethnic cleansing. They want to kick us out to Sinai, Egypt. The Egyptians are saying no, and we are saying no. So we have to pay a price. Why? Because we are not born to Jewish mothers. because Israel is the state of Jews only. So what should happen to us? Well, kill them. Golda Meir said, who are they? They don't exist. Golda Meir, Israel Prime Minister, said in the late 60s, 70s, she said, I will never forgive Palestinians for making our kids kill them. I will never forgive Palestinians for making our kids kill them. And now we are paying a very heavy price. We are not born to Jewish mothers. We are not white. And we shouldn't be there. Why Gaza? Because 2/3 of the Palestinians of Gaza are refugees. Reminding apartheid Israel of the original sin, the Nakba, that took place in 1948. Reminding apartheid Israel of our right of return in accordance with the United Nations Resolution 194. So we have to pay a price. January 2006, after destroying Iraq, we were asked to head to the polling stations and vote for our representatives. Yeah. Most of us, not myself, because I don't believe in democracy under the barrel of the gun of the occupiers, but people went to the polling station in Gaza Strip, in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and they voted against the two-state solution. They voted against the facade of the Oslo Accords, the peace process, so-called peace process, etc., etc. And for that reason, we had to pay a price. So they decided to impose a deadly medieval siege on Gaza. 2006 until today, we have been living under a hermetic medieval siege. Was that enough? No, that's not enough. Israel decided to punish us by attacking Gaza in 2008, 2009. Within 22 days, killing more than 1,200 people. And what was the reaction of the international community? Nothing. Nothing. So Israel read the message that it can come back to Gaza, kill as many innocent people as possible, and the international community would do nothing. And this is what happened in 2012. And this is what happened in 2014. And this is what happened in 2021. And because the international community is not saying no, in fact, Israel is coming back now and committing the worst crime against humanity. The gravest crime against humanity is genocide. Israel has committed every single crime that you can think of. Genocide, ethnic cleansing, apartheid, and settler colonialism. And we are at the receiving end of that. They call it wrath, anger. What happened on October 7th? A group of youngsters. And I'm not here supporting or disagreeing. No, I'm just telling you what happened. I'm reporting. Now, the siege has been imposed since 2007. They are counting the calories that every and each one of us is allowed to use. The calories. We have no chocolate. We have no milk. We have no water. We have no electricity. And now because we said we want to break the walls of the Gaza ghetto, the largest open-air prison, concentration camp. How dare I compare this to a concentration camp? This is anti-Semitism. Well, in Warsaw, they did it, the Warsaw Intifada. So some youngsters who grew up under this siege decided to break the wall. And that is the worst crime that we have committed. How dare we try to break the walls of the ghetto, of the Gaza ghetto, the Gaza concentration camp. So now they are killing our children. Why? Because we made a terrible mistake by breaking the walls of the prison. This is what's happening right now in Gaza. What is needed to be done? 1, an immediate ceasefire. 2, humanitarian aid. Gaza needs 500 trucks of humanitarian aid on a daily basis. Yeah. Now, the United Nations, the United States of America, they were celebrating sending 27 trucks the other day to Gaza. We need 500. Under the siege, by the way. We need an immediate ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and we want a military embargo. I am a BDS activist. Since 2005, we have been calling for a boycott of apartheid Israel, the same way the apartheid system was boycotted here. Divestment from international companies that benefit from Israel's multi-tiered oppression of the Palestinian people. And we want sanctions. Sanctions against apartheid Israel, in accordance with international law. Forget about 2 states, 1 state, 1 million states. We don't give a damn. We want our basic human rights. That's what we are calling for. Thank you so much for listening to me. I need water, sorry. And I will tell you about one of my experiences with the ongoing genocide. Unless you are bored. Are you bored? You're not bored. I am bored of repeating myself. No, I'm sorry. Hi, you're not bored. My story with the rebel, Anqad. And I told you, that the most hated word in Gaza right now is Anqad. Now, Rifka would become hysterical some nights, and she would wake up, or rather wake me up, because she couldn't sleep, and would tell me, I don't want to die, but even if I die, I don't want to be left under the rubble. Yeah. And that's not everybody in Gaza, by the way, but she expressed it very well. So on the 3rd day or 4th day after our arrival in Rafah, the south, and that was our 3rd displacement, by the way, they shelled a house nearby. So we woke up, Haifa was screaming, Selma was crying, and Rifka also hysterical. The following day, I went and I visited the rubble, Al-Anqad. And there was something written there, Hussam تحت الأنقاض. Hussam is still under the rubble. So there was a dead body under the rubble. Yeah. So I wrote this. I don't know why they call it a poem. I don't think it's a poem. I myself, when I wrote, I'm not a poet. And I know this, I'm not a poet at all. I've never written a poem. I called it Reflections on the Ruins of Anqad, of a house. So Jeremy and my friend Ali Abu Na'ma, they prefer another title. Jeremy, he will tell you about it just now. But my friend Ali Abu Na'am from Electronic Intifada, as soon as he got it, he called it Even Ghosts Weep in Gaza. And I was not trying to be poetic, by the way. I was just writing what I saw and what I thought. So I am standing over the ruins of a house in Gaza City. It was Rafah at the time, of course, peering at the horizon. Most probably, the body of a martyr lies under the rubble. Hussam تحت الأنقاض. The body of someone who could not respond to an Israeli warning. Such warnings are comprised of several artillery shells, missiles from a reconnaissance drone, followed by another missile from an F-16, a warplane made in the United States of America. A gift to the Palestinian people from a superpower. Israel used to call some warnings a knock on the roof. A knock on the roof. Firing at a home to announce a larger attack was imminent. The knock on the roof policy seems to have been stopped. Even that was considered a luxury now. In this house where I was standing, a woman lived with her husband and 3 sons and 3 daughters. Yeah, that's what happened. They had also provided refuge to relatives from northern Gaza who had been displaced. Now the house and the families who lived and took shelter in it are gone forever. The adjacent house is luckier. Its owner inspects it with a sense of astonishment. His neighbor screams when she sees all that she once owned turned into Anqad rubble because the United States, the US president, believes that Israel has the right to defend itself. Defend itself against whom? Terrorists? If Israel keeps killing at the rate it has been, the official death toll will reach 30,000 very soon. About 40% of the dead are children. I imagine that my ghost is standing beside the ruins of another house in Al-Rimal, my neighborhood. Al-Rimal used to be a docile and peaceful neighborhood in Gaza City. It's gone. Al-Rimal is gone. My ghost pats one of my university students, a brilliant student, on the shoulder, offering her a tissue to wipe her tears. It embraces her father and carries her little sister, who weeps as she searches for their mother under the rubble. Ghosts do not cry. My ghost is an exception. My ghost is an exception. This incident must be recorded as that of the first weeping ghost in history. My ghost sings to the pretty woman sitting on a rock in the middle of what was once a home that contained dreams, hopes, and desires. My ghost wipes her tears and weeps along with her. My ghost reflects on the pain of birth of a new reality. My ghost goes to Nusayrat camp, to the Nusayrat camp refugee, to the Nusayrat refugee camp. In Nusayrat, my ghost hears the cooing of a dove coming from the south, from Khan Yunis. The dove bears the story of another home. The home is a lover, a woman who has feelings for you and for whom you have feelings. She's you and you are her. There are no boundaries, no separation. When the home is demolished, something within you dies. Where's my mom? Where's my mother? A little girl screams. Where's my dad? The girl is beside the rubble of yet another house. The rubble, Al-Anqad, where the cooing dove had landed. I try to pull myself together and I fail. My shadow refuses to return to my body. My ghost rebels against the master. On Laylat al-Qadr, the night of destiny, my prayer was, Ya Rab, O God, make me be Superman during these massacres. I asked for nothing else. O merciful God, make me the Superman. Make me be Superman, and I will not attack any Israeli. I promise. Either soldier or civilian. I will not be aggressive towards either Benjamin Netanyahu or Itamar Ben Gvir. I will not even be aggressive towards Benny Gantz, who has boasted of sending Gaza back to Stone Age with all the slaughter he ordered in 2014. And I will not be any threat to Joe Biden or Rishi Sunak. The only thing I will do will be to intercept the shells before they kill the children of Gaza. My ghost decides to take leave. It is gone forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Comrade Haidar, for that beautiful but very haunting poem. Out of that poem came a song that was written together with Comrade Haidar and the comrades from the Mavrix. So we will be hearing them play it live a little bit later on. But for now, we will see a visual representation of this poem. Thank you. And yes, Comrade Jeremy Karodia, who is a longtime activist against apartheid and for the freedom of Palestine, will also be sharing more about their experience of how the poem became this song and this video. Thank you, Comrade. Let's give him a hand.
I can sing, I can't talk. But I just want to say that Haidar, Rifka, Salma, and Haifa are extremely, extremely close friends of Firoza and myself and my family. They have lived with us in January, and what we knew of them then and what we have seen now is the stars and the moon. It's just completely different. But what I wanted to speak about is we've all been on social media. We've all seen what has happened. And one of Firoza's friends that she lived with in Hebron, working on an olive farm about 2-3 years ago, and they're very close friends with Firoza. He called about 3 weeks ago crying at 1 o'clock in the morning and said to her that the IDF and settlers had attacked his family. And you know the idea of attacking orchards is to eliminate the land, so they reclaimed, the settlers claimed that land. But members of his family were killed, his son was shot, a 12 or 13-year-old son of his was detained, and there it's 9 months, I think, detention in the West Bank. I may stand corrected. And when we woke up in the morning, she told me about this phone call. And regardless of what had happened to him, he sent her a poem, not about what happened to his family. He sent a poem about Palestine. And the words went something like, your mother's Palestine, you know, they will carry the burden. Your mother's Palestine or your father's Palestine, you know, ascend to heaven, but Palestine will be free. So despite all that he went through at 1 o'clock in the morning, he wrote this poem and she sent it to me, and I wasn't playing music at the time, I just wasn't interested in music, but it inspired me to say, can I do something with this? And 2 days later, Haidar wrote the poem that he just recited now. And when I took the 2 poems, and I thought a song could come out of this. And it happened to be, and here's where the solidarity thing comes in. This is like weird. There's an old South African tune that any guitarist, any non-white guitarist in South Africa in the 70s and 80s, when you learn to play guitar, you learn to play a tune called Shireen's Theme. It is one of the most easiest songs to learn when you learn to play the guitar. There's only 4 melodies. Every band has recorded it. They play the first 4 melodies, very lamentful, very haunting, but then they take the song in a different direction. And then I've always wanted to record that song, but I didn't know who composed it. And about 3 weeks later, somebody said to me, phone this family, the Gunny family in Durban. They owned a company called the Raj Music Company that was opened in the 1960s. So I phoned, and the gentleman, Mohammed Ghani, is in his 80s. His dad had opened the company. So I said, look, you know, I want to record this tune, Shireen's Theme, but I will not record it if I don't know who composed it. I'm just not one of those people that will write a song without crediting a composer. And then he gave me the story. And this is where the South African link to Palestine comes in. He said that in 1963, his dad and his brother went to Maputo, in that time Lorenzo Marx, and they happened to hear this band playing this instrumental lang arm kind of music, and the melody was Shireen's Theme. So they went and they asked the band, like, who wrote the song? And they said, we don't know. But the brother remembered those first 4 lines that you will hear now of Shireen's Theme. It's the theme that everybody knows. It's only 4 lines. And he came back, and they had a band called Los Papitos in 1965. And he went to the band and he said, can I hum a tune to you? And he hummed the 4 lines. And the guitarist went into the band and created this song with those 4 lines, and they took it into some other direction, but they didn't have a name. And the Ghani family had a sister, she's passed, her name was Shireen. And so they said, what are we going to call the name of the song? What's the name of the song? And she loved that melody before she passed, so they called it Shireen's Theme. And I then found out that there's an unknown composer, but it was first recorded in 1967 by this band Los Papitos, and they gave me permission to use the song. And that was the influence behind the poem of Paddy Dwight in Hebron and Haider's poem on the coast. You're going to watch the video now. It seeks justice before peace. Say my name and pray for me. I'm not a number, hear my story. Mine is the only ghost to weep. It lays on my soul as it bleeds. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Your fathers, Palestine, in their eyes the burden of your cries. Your mothers, Palestine, refugees, the keeper of the keys. Your children, Palestine, their hearts on fire as justice descend on Gaza. Your people, Palestine, from the Nakba to Amandla Intifada, Palestine will be free. Mine is the only ghost to weep. It seeks justice before peace. Say my name and pray for me. I'm not a number, hear my story. Mine is the only ghost to weep. It lays on my soul as it bleeds. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you to the Mavrix. I'm going to introduce the Mavrix now while they are setting up. Sorry, apologies, everybody. Okay, so the roots of the Mavrix go back to the 1980s and the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. The founding members were composers, musicians, Jeremy Karodi on guitar and vocals, and Ayub Mayet on vocals. Since 1984, the Mavrix composed original music based on the struggle against apartheid in South Africa and in Palestine, and based on other social justice issues, including gender-based violence, drug addiction in our communities, poverty and unemployment, and the discrimination between the rich and the poor. The band, as artists growing up in apartheid South Africa, the Mavrix felt it necessary to keep the momentum of writing new social justice music underlining the current socio-political injustices around the world. The band have recorded many albums since 2004, starting with the first one called Guantanamo Bay, which included anti-war and anti-occupation songs in Iraq and Afghanistan and Palestine. The second album, Pura Vida, covered 3 songs on Palestine, the most popular being The New Black, the first musical collaboration between South Africa and Palestine, which was suggested by Dr. Haider Eid. All their music is online on YouTube, SoundCloud, and various other media platforms for free. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, so without further ado, yes, let's give a really warm welcome for the Mavrix.
Yeah, thank you. We rusted, okay? Like seriously rusted, right? But before we start, I have something special that I'd like to introduce. Hyper must get that mic. We wrote a song in January, hasn't been released. It's a solidarity song between South Africa and South Africa. It's in Arabic and in Zulu, and it's got a rap. We haven't released it, but I would like to introduce little Haider Eid to come and do a little rap to the song.
Okay, so basically, it's a combination of things. I think everybody knows what Senzenina is and why we sung it in the 80s. So it's just a simple melody. It is a dirge almost, but it goes Senzenina, Senzenina. Please feel free to join in. Senzenina, 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 Senzenina.
Okay, so Haifa, are you ready? Let's go. We're gonna do it now. We're gonna do it the old way.
Listen up, this is the story of violence and hate of Caesar song. Before 1948, a violent black killing machine whose victims are the people of Palestine. Shine a light, speak of the thief, speak of the settler, speak of the jackboot uniform gangster, speak of the lies that twisted delusion. Speak of the folk tongues and whistling illusion. Make it right, make a fist and tall and rise. In the name of the Nakba, Thanaksa, Sabra, Chatila, I will sing my Thawra.
Whoa! Okay, so we're going to start off with one of our first songs that we ever wrote from an album called Guantanamo Bay. And funny enough, it was recorded in 2004 during the time of the Iraqi-Afghanistan invasion, but also, you know, Palestine was under heavy attack. And we wrote the song called Promised Land. Shami, are you getting this? Guitar. Got it? All the promised land delivered was bloodshed, and the language spoken was born by flame. All the white-winged birds took flight from the madness. Silent cheers nourished the seeds of shame. Excised and exiled, tortured and terrorized, cauterized and clinically cast aside. Dispossession of the damned, deliverance for the diaspora, and a gloom settled over God's own land. Listen to the war drums across the land. Blood-soaked babies lying in the sand, crying for the winds of change to blow. Heal the heartache, pain and sorrow, waiting for the peace doves to come home. All the president's men define the axis of evil, and the twisted tongues claim the words of God. As the dogs of war unleash their poison arrows, diplomats echoed empty words of peace. Frenzied fanatics, frothing with fury, infidels of infamy and lies, heathens and hypocrites, philosophers and Philistines, carried a gloom that hovers over God's own land. Listen to the war drums across the land. Blood-soaked babies lying in the sand, crying for the winds of change to blow. Heal the heartache, pain and sorrow, waiting for the peace doves to come home. Shock and awe vibrated ancient sands, like a song and dance on a cubic screen. But the blood of my children will not have flowed in vain. Their collective soul will rise again. Victors of the vanquished, crusaders on a conquest, resplendent in imperial majesty. Is this the end? Is this the beginning? Will a new day dawn in God's own land? Listen to the war drums across the land. Blood-soaked babies lying in the sand, crying for the winds of change to blow. Feel the heartache, pain and sorrow. Listen to the war drums across the land. Blood-soaked babies lying in the sand, crying for the winds of change to blow. Heal the heartache, pain and sorrow, waiting for the peace doves to come home.
we were wondering, and I think it's our gratitude to you in terms of every time something happens in Palestine, that we come up and we sing the same songs. And thank you very much for coming around every single time to listen to the same songs. But
we come from Gaza to listen to this.
And thank you so much. And just regarding that, they've come all the way from Gaza. Guys, we need a bit of gees here, né? We need a bit of spirit. So please come tell me, come follow me, right? When I say, Amandla softly, right? Please come back at me with something loud. Amandla! Amandla! Maibuye Palestina, maibuye! Maibuye Palestina, maibuye! Amandla! Maibuye Palestina, maibuye! Thank you very much. There's something there. Maybe we can form a chorus after this. Okay, this next song, written by Jeremy, is called Palestinian for One. As one. Yeah. Jeremy, you want to speak a bit more about it, or we can go straight into it?
Carry on.
Okay. Zadi's mic is not quite connecting. But in any case, the harrowing stories, the harrowing experiences that Rifka and Haidar speak about is something totally, absolutely alien to me. Look, I mean, I think most of us here have lived through the worst of apartheid. We've lived through the worst of apartheid. And yes, I've seen terrible things happening in the townships, and I've seen horrible things done by the South African Defence Force. I have never, even in the abstract, ever conceived of something as brutal, as heinous, and as evil as Alan spoke about earlier. I have never. This is utterly, utterly shocking. We spoke to some people a couple of weeks ago, and they were describing what the Hellfire missile is. Now, it's meant to be a smart bomb, but it doesn't explode. The Hellfire missile, courtesy of the United States of America, does not explode. It's fired,
That's right.
it's targeted, but opens up into blades and spins. It's meant to shear limbs. It's meant to cut people in half. For God's sake, who thinks of inventing something like that? Who supplies something like that to another nation to inflict upon civilians and babies and children? Come on. What have we become? What have we become? I have the Hellfire missile is something. No, come on, guys, come on. No, this is a new level of cruelty. And if I look across here, and if those people are defined as human animals, then you are the people supporting those human animals, and today I am here and I'm proud to be a human animal. If that's the case, I am proud if I am a human animal because the Palestinians are human animals, as described by an Israeli minister. Anyway, thank you.
It's called Palestinian as One. Here we are, Palestinian as One. will for our freedom is mightier than your gun. We will rise from the ashes with the wretched of the earth. We will stake our claim and stand our ground, Palestinian as one. There's a howling in the wind, there's a whisper in the trees. When a baby dies and a mother cries, we'll stand as one. We will die on our feet and live on our knees, standing proud, shout out loud, Palestinian for life. Ooh, so much history in the land of the olive tree. Ooh, such an irony, war in the name of peace. Ooh, I'm a refugee, right to return is a guarantee. Ooh, it's our destiny, we will set me free. Step aside, convict, the day has come. As sure as the sun comes out, victory is ours. There's a rumble in the ground, the wall must come down. You can take our land, you can take our food, Palestinian as one. There's a howling in the wind, there's a whisper in the trees. When a baby dies and a mother cries, we'll stand as one. We will die on our feet, then live on our knees, standing proud, shout out loud, Palestinian for life. Ooh, so much history in the land of the olive tree. Ooh, such an irony, war in the name of peace. Ooh, I'm a refugee, the right to return is a guarantee. Ooh, it's our destiny, we will set me free. It's been a long time coming on this long and winding road. There's a flicker just ahead that feeds this hungry soul. Oh, freedom is close, freedom is near. We rise to the challenge without any fear. Bow down, soldier, your time is gone. The night is the darkest, just before the dawn. Resistance in our veins, freedom in our hearts. There's a cast in stone etched in our bones, Palestinian as one. There's a howling in the wind, there's a whisper in the trees. When a baby dies and a mother cries, we'll stand as one. We will die on our feet and live on our knees, standing proud, shout out loud, Palestinian for life. Ooh, so much history in the land of the olive tree. Ooh, such an irony, war in the name of peace. Ooh, I'm a refugee, right to return is a guarantee. Ooh, it's our destiny, we will set me free. Ooh, so much history in the land of the olive tree. Ooh, such an irony, war in the name of peace. Ooh, I'm a refugee, right to return is a guarantee. Ooh, it's our destiny, we will set me free. Sorry, is there power failure? No lights here, so. Okay. Oh. Can you see your words, dude? So, this next song is inspired by what they called Operation Cast cast iron, lead. That was the time, I don't know, is this mic working? Okay. In 2008, when they had Operation Cast Iron, cast lead, and that is the first time they used the illegal phosphorus weapons. And it so happened that we were going through, you know, relating to what was happening in Palestine, but Ayub had read Mornings in Janine by Susan Abul Hawa, and he had come up with some of these words, and we didn't have time to record it because there were a whole lot of Amandla Intifada A albums that were taking place, and then we decided to record the song for our Pura Vida album called, for our Pura Vida album, and the song is called New Black, The New Black. And with the help of Haidar and a few other people, we recorded the song as the Mavrix. There's a great video out on it. It's taken, it has its age restriction, 38,000 views. But this is the song we're going to do now, The New Black. Some of the words may have changed. Capo?
And the one thing, while we were rehearsing these songs, the one question kept coming up over and over again. Given Jeremy and I go back to around 1982 and we composed some anti-apartheid songs, and where we find ourselves now, and we ask ourselves, why are these songs still relevant? Geez, I've got gray hair and lost most of my hair, and I'm still singing the same songs. Shazadi started with us 12 years ago. This was the original Mavrix, by the way, right? The three of us. 20 years, yeah, there we go. So, and why are these songs still relevant? Why are we still singing the songs? And some of these words still make an impact. And I think that the answer is probably quite simple, is that Zionism hasn't changed.
But what about the generation?
US imperialism hasn't changed. And fundamental to the ideology of Zionism is violence.
You know that lady?
And that is why these songs can still be sung.
They've got long cable.
Yeah.
Shami.
Yeah, the song sat a bit for quite a while, until I read that book by Susan Abul Hawa, and if you haven't read it, please do. It's called Mornings in Janine. Susan Abul Hawa, just last week, was protesting and taking on the state legislature in Philadelphia. So, yeah, she's still active, and she's still fighting, full of spirit.
Also, the only
a slight woman,
problem is
not too big, but my God, she has a voice on her, and the spirit of a guerrilla. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you know, while we're just sitting up there, is that question keeps coming up now. Doesn't Israel have the right to self-defense? Does Palestine have the right to self-defense? I can find that in the United Nations laws, that you are allowed to fight your occupiers. You have no right to proclaim self-defense over a nation you occupy. So, as I stand here, I do not condemn Hamas. I will not. If I were to condemn Hamas, means I need to condemn Mkhonto weSizwe. I've had comrades in Mkhonto weSizwe. I will not condemn Mkhonto weSizwe. I will not condemn Hamas. Thank you so much. I'm off my soapbox now.
Did I hear you speak? Did you hear the children plead in the deathly cold of night, with no warmth, no food inside? Yet I heard it said, won't you please end this blockade? Free up the food, free up the aid, oh please end this blockade. Ooh, 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 ooh.
So, do not forgive my rudeness. I am described as uncouth and even shameless. You can think me useless, peddling untruth, aimless. I am an interruption of your dinner conversation, a constant irritation, a consternation, as opposed to a sovereign nation with a history going back 40 generations. Violence, brutality and expulsion, signed off in a convoluted UN hand to a land with no people, for a people with no land. In an even stranger twist, an unholy tryst, a superpower's blacklist. I'm no victim, I'm a terrorist, so do not forgive my insolence. Just answer my questions, because I'm losing patience. And this is my time to be your conscience. This is my time to be your conscience. This is my time to be your conscience. And this is my time to be your conscience.
Did I hear you speak? Did you hear the children bleed in the deathly cold of night, with no warmth, no food inside? Did I hear it say, won't you please end this blockade? Free up the food, free up the aid, oh please end this blockade.
So, do not forgive my frustration, aggravation, and anger, because the humiliation of the occupation is fraught with danger. It's par for the course on a sunny day in Augusta, or a massacre on an Eid flotilla. The memories fade of Sabra and Shatila and a little boy called Muhammad al-Durra, bombed and blasted into a surreal Stone Age setting, seething in strife. A nation grieves for a shrinking, shriveling landscape, shattered and shaped by the subversion of thieves. In an even stranger twist, the oppressor cries victim and is accepted, lauded, and applauded in a flurry of sniveling propaganda and hatred. So do not forgive my insolence. Just answer my questions, because I'm losing patience. And this is my time to be your conscience. This is my time to be your conscience. This is my time to be your conscience. This is my time to be your conscience.
Did I hear you speak? Did you hear the children plead in the deathly cold of night, with no warmth, no food inside? Did I hear it say, won't you please end this blockade? Free up the food, free up the aid, oh please end this blockade. Please.
Did I hear you speak? Did you hear the children scream when white phosphorus weapons incinerated heaven and left a nation to bleed? Where was Genocide Joe and Kamala now that Satan is in Gaza? Did I hear them plead, show mercy, mercy please? So do not forgive my insolence, my arrogance, my sarcasm. Oh. Did I hear you speak? Did you hear the children plead in the deathly cold of night, with no warmth nor food in sight? Did I hear it say, won't you please end this blockade? Free up the food, free up the aid, oh please end this blockade. Please end this blockade. Please end this blockade. I'm sorry.
Capo? Capo 7? Okay. Yeah, you are gonna sing now. Sorry. You are going to sing now. But I can't see the words here, man.
That's the problem. You can't see the words.
Is there any way we can get some light here?
It's fine, it's okay.
Oh wait, I got a cell phone. No, I don't know the words for the...
It comes with age, no? When we started writing these songs and singing these songs, we didn't need reading glasses. It's just like, now, I mean, seriously, there's no no lights and no reading glasses, so yeah, it becomes a bit of a challenge.
Damn it, this is hard. Okay. I just need like a... Yeah. There we go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh.
Okay, Ayub.
Yes?
Last song.
Okay. I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, we good? Yeah, one more. Let's go for it, Abbas.
Boer maak 'n plan. Embrace me, my Lord, oh Lord.
in your heart, I'm reaching out to you. Heal the hurt in your heart right now. Oh, Palestina,
يا أهل غزة
yeah, Palestina,
يا أهل غزة
yeah, Palestina, yeah, Gaza, Palestina.
يا أهل غزة. Okay guys, it's quite easy now, right? Jeremy asked the question, Ya Palestina, we say Ya Ahl Gaza, dedicated to the people of Gaza, right? He asks again, Ya Palestina, we go Ya Ahl Gaza. Let's try.
Yeah, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza,
yeah, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza,
yeah, Palestina, yeah, Gaza, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza. Let's go.
yeah, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza,
yeah, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza,
yeah, Palestina,
Ya Gaza,
Palestina. One more time.
Ya Ahl Gaza,
Yeah, Palestina.
Ya Palestina,
Yeah, Palestina, yeah, Gaza, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza,
yeah, Palestina, yeah, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza,
yeah, Palestina, yeah, Gaza, Palestina,
Ya Ahl Gaza.
yeah, Palestina. We thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Saraka, Michaela. Yeah, we done. We done. My job's done.
The New Black is on YouTube. It's called The New Black by the Mavrix, and yeah, that's on YouTube. You will find the completed version, not the edited version I did today. So yeah.
Video we close.
Are we going to use? Are we going to put it on TikTok, Jeremy?
Thank you. One more round for the Mavrix. Yes. For Palestine, yes. So I just want to reintroduce Michaela from AAA, who's going to give a vote of thanks.
I just want to thank all of the AAA members and all the activists in various movements who have shown solidarity with Palestine. I'd like to thank Haider Eid and family, Yusra Bardeen from AAA for her video on the Ghost Who Weeps, Ahmed Asmal for his free contribution to live stream this event, and all the other people that have helped with tech support today. The poets and musicians who contributed to Amandla Intifada, Alan and the Forge for their free contribution to host the event, Healthcare Workers for Palestine for their compassionate publicizing the death of healthcare workers in Gaza, and most importantly, for getting a group of doctors to offer free professional care for the Eid family. I'd also like to thank my uncle Jeremy for putting together this event, and for all of you for coming and supporting. For those of you who are not part of AAA, please follow us on Instagram to get the details to join the WhatsApp group. There's a place for everyone in the liberation movement. Amandla.
Thank you to Michaela. We have reached very close to the end of this program. Thank you to everybody. I want to just hand over as well.
Yes, we'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and thanks to the organizers for organizing this really, really nice, beautiful event. I think we should continue actions like this and events like this, especially in our communities, so that we also educate them and stop the propaganda.
Yeah, so thank you again, everyone. That we remember Palestine and the struggle for Palestine, that all of our struggles from Congo to Haiti to Sudan to Hawaii to Kashmir, none of us is free until Palestine is free. Thank you, everybody. We're going to close with the screening. Yeah, one round of applause. Thank you, guys, for everybody. It's just, we're going to close with the song, the video. But yeah, this is it.
لو الدنيا ضاقت وجار الزمان ونات الضياء واستبد الظلام. لو الدنيا ضاقت وجار الزمان ونات الضياء واستبد الظلام. وهانوا الكرام وسادوا اللئام وتهنا ما بين الحلال والحرام. وحده صوتك ينور ليالي القاسية بكلمة جريئة تناجي النهار. وحده صوتك ينور ليالي القاسية بكلمة جريئة تناجي النهار. لو ناسك خنوعة وصاحبك جبان يحب المراوغة يخاف من الكلام. لو ناسك خنوعة وصاحبك جبان يحب المراوغة يخاف من الكلام. في وسط المظالم وتحت الحصار يا واقف لوحدك مفيش لك خيار. غير صوتك ينور ليالي القاسية بكلمة جريئة تناجي النهار. غير صوتك ينور ليالي القاسية بكلمة جريئة تناجي النهار.